Well, Mary, we have made our way over to the east side of the garden. This is the herb dial, and you can look around and see there's several different varieties of herbs we grow. Some of them are annuals, some are perennials, and it's really a favorite spot when we're doing garden tours. We kind of end our tour over on this side of the garden, and people love to sample them. Sometimes I hide the signs and have them taste them and say, what do you think that tastes like? And then we'll talk about some of their uses. Some of the more interesting ones, we're standing here next to the marshmallow or mallow that's in the hollyhock family. And interesting, the roots, when they're dried up and ground, that's originally how they were able to make marshmallows years ago. Another interesting one, there's tarragon that tastes like anise or black licorice, and either you love that or hate that, depending on your taste. Next to that is comfrey, which is a new herb to me, but I've watched some people grow it, and it goes by the common name of knit bone. It was used in previous years to help mend broken bones. They made a poultice of it and laid it on the broken bone. Nowadays, a lot of people will grow it as a mulch because the plant has a taproot that's like 7 feet deep, and so it pulls up minerals and nutrients that other plants can't get. So you grow it, it gets quite tall, then you can chop it down and lay it around like your fruit trees or other ornamentals that you want to give some extra nutrients to. Looking around the herb dial, another favorite one for people is the chocolate mint. And people love to taste that one. People might use it in drinks. One of our favorite things to do is, if you're making brownies, is to strip the leaves off, chop it up, and then you can have an Andes mint brownie. It's quite delicious.
So how do you decide which herbs to grow?
Yeah, you know, it's kind of, once again, we've heard interesting things about, will grow in our area. Maybe you want to try it. We do have some lavender that we've been able to overwinter. There is a variety of lavender that makes it in our zone. It's called Munstead lavender, and so that large lavender right there actually overwintered, and so it's kind of fun to have something, because usually most of them will die back and you won't get them to come back again.
Do you mulch it?
We just have a little bit of bark mulch on it, but I don't mulch it deep or cover it or anything like that. It kind of just sits the way it is for the winter.
Do you harvest and use some of the herbs?
A lot of the people that work here will do that. I personally like to do that. We harvest it and dry it for teas or some tinctures and things like that. And sometimes people from the community will call and ask if they can come in and harvest, and we let them do that.
So when is that done? Throughout the season?
Throughout the season. I mean, a lot of it is throughout the summer. Some of it you want to wait till it's a little more mature, but then some of it you don't want to because it starts to form a seed head, and then it doesn't give quite as good properties as when it was younger.
Do the herbs tend to spread?
Well, a lot of them do. And anything that's in the mint family, of course, really does. The nice thing about this location is there's pavers that kind of constrict it. So it's an easy way to define the edge of that bed, and we just cut it off or dig the roots up if they've started to go where we don't want them to. The other way to control it is by chopping off the seed heads. The marshmallow is notorious. We have one of our volunteers that always reminds me, you need to deadhead that because pretty soon it's going to send its seeds everywhere. Of course, things like chives that we have along the driveway, if you don't deadhead that, you'll have chives everywhere in the garden. We love to grow herbs in the garden. They're fun for people to taste and sample when they're on a tour, but also they're a great source of pollen for the pollinators. You can see that the marshmallows and the chocolate mint are covered with bees right now.
So then how do you control the weeds in these gardens?
For the most part, it's done by hand weeding. The vast majority of weeding is on your hands and knees with a Japanese weeding tool. That's how most of us weed. Of course, bigger beds, in the spring of the year, we can run a rototiller through them. If it's an annual bed, we'll clean it up that way. Some of it's upright with a hoe on your, stand on your feet, but most of it's on your hands and knees weeding. That's really the most effective way. We do 2 times a year spray herbicide on the brick paths, just because there's no way to really control all those weeds that get in the cracks and things like that.
Do you do all that weeding yourself?
I do it with my volunteers and our staff, and we have just an incredible group of volunteers, many that have been here for 25 years since the garden started. And Tuesday mornings they come out and work away from May into October, depending on how the fall is going. And we also have some summer interns that join us, usually college-age students that come and work, and they work not only here in the garden but in the research projects that are also out on the farm.
Do you do classes here in the herb garden?
We do classes sponsored through Living Legacy Gardens. A few of the more recent ones have been vermiculture or worms making compost, making soil. We've done that class. We did fruit tree grafting earlier this spring. And then every November we have a wreath making class where people get to make their own evergreen wreath and then decorate it.
Then do you have classes for adults or for all ages?
For those classes, it was kind of open. Those tended to be more for adults. The thing we offer for children is our children's gardening program, and we offer that through community education. And the children come in June of the year and they plant the garden, and then each week they come and we'll weed it, and then they'll harvest as it goes throughout the summer. And then each week there's a topic that's kind of garden related, everything from making paver stones to learning about pollinators, to learning about how chickens could be worked in your garden. So there's different topics that they'll come, and then they'll make a craft every week when they come.
So where is that children's garden area?
The children's garden is right behind the silver maples over here, and they have their own spot, and so they get to work in those beds.
Then do you have to provide the equipment, or do they have to bring their own?
We provide all the equipment, we provide all the seeds and plants. A lot of the vegetable plants come from the AES program, and then some we get from elsewhere. We'll start some things in the office in the wintertime.
So how many children do you usually get?
It probably this summer probably averages about 30 children each Wednesday. So.
And who does those classes?
Myself and another, the research assistant, and then we have other people that kind of plug in on the days that are busy, and of course the interns help out with that too. For our children's garden, the children can sign up for 1 week, or they can sign up for the entire summer. So it's very flexible. If they can come for part of it but not all of it, they can still join in.
So do they sign up way ahead of time, or can they come even that day?
So they sign up through community education, and that's, comes out in like May of the year. And so some families sign up then, but we do have actually walk-ins can come and join us too. So we kind of plan a few extra for that day in case.
So what are some of the other areas here that's so beautiful here?
Yeah. So over to in this direction, you can see there's a fairy garden, and that's always a favorite, not only with children, but with adults too. It's fun to have just little figures to look for in there, and mushrooms and all that kind of fun stuff. Over on this side, you can see there's several small raised beds, and we try to demonstrate a different type of flower each summer. A couple years ago, we demonstrated all different varieties of cosmos. This year, we're demonstrating zinnias, everything from the normal big ones that we're used to tiny little lilliput ones. And so it's just a nice way for people to, you can't go wrong with zinnias. But there's so many different varieties that we don't always think of. So I think it's just fun to demonstrate different options.
Do you use and cut some of the flowers for special events?
We do, in fact. In fact, this afternoon, we have in-service starting at Central Lakes College, and so they've asked us to provide centerpieces for the tables. So that's what we'll be working on after lunch, is getting some centerpieces cut to bring over. And then we have other events that they'll ask us to bring flowers to.